Hey there, CIS170. Welcome to Session 2. You have already survived Session 1, and there are only 7 more to go. So, as was the case last week, and as will be the case every week, we are going to move at a really, brisk pace, frankly, so that we can get everything done here. This session won't be any different. In the first session, we covered chapters 1 through 3, which was an introduction to pseudocode. Moving into chapter 3, it was an introduction to the keywords, the structure, and the syntax of pseudocode. You also did have those two supplementary pseudocode terms and pseudocode style PDFs, and all of the other video content there. Before we move into chapters 4 and 5, because just it's the way the cookie crumbled this week, I have a really busy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday into Thursday morning this week. So that means I might not get around to scoring and providing feedback for the chapters 1 through 3 and the pseudocode. The very next two videos immediately under this one here in the Session 2 module are a response for the programming fun and games, what you may have seen, what you can expect there, and the chapters 1 through 3 and the pseudocode 1 feedback. You can give those a shot because the feedback is going to be serialized. It's going to be the same across everybody's work, and you can give those a shot, or a look rather, and see what is happening, probably happening with your session or your chapters 1 through 3 material there. So give those, don't skip them, give them a look over because they really will indicate what, for a vast majority of you, you will have seen or you will shortly see for your chapters 1 through 3 feedback when I'm able, and I'm struggling to get there for you, able to get that to you. So that's our look back. Our look ahead is to chapters 4 and 5. In chapter 4, with selection, we are moving to better program and process design. In chapters 1 through 3, we essentially knew what the answer was going to be when we requested it from a user, right? So we were requesting how old someone was. We knew what we were going to get. We were requesting the price of a piece of a good. We know what we are going to get. But in day-to-day operations, that is certainly not the way that things are going to go. We need selection. We need to be able to choose between alternatives. So chapter 4 gives us the ability to choose between alternatives. And one thing to note here, it is mentioned in the videos, it is mentioned in the text, but it is something I think that people who are getting their feet wet here with program and process design think that there's some kind of like magic that happens, that we provide a program with a huge host of alternatives and the program somehow magically picks the right one. There is no magic here. You have to be able to tell the program what the right alternative is. And in all of programming, the best way that this is done, the only way that this is done, is we weigh the alternatives 1 and 2, and that is all. So we cannot look and weigh what selection should we make here. We cannot do that with 15 pieces of data. We can only ever compare 2 pieces of data. And we can do that a bunch of times. And actually that's what we do in chapter 5 is repetition. With repetition, what we'll see is we can produce an answer. We can solve a problem over and over and over again as many times as is necessary. So the structures and the syntax that we need for repetition are what you see in chapter 5. Before moving on, just because I have this funny feeling by looking at some of the submissions that some of you have made. This is going to drop before the due date, the deadline anyway, so it's not as if everybody has done this, but this is what history has shown me about this class is many of you will have resisted the temptation slash suggestion slash the only thing I can do other than suggest is make it an assignment from here on out, which I don't do. But if you have not already done so, do yourself a favor and go grab a copy of Sublime Text. Number 1, it is free. Number 2, it handles indentation for you. Number 3, it handles de-indentation for you. There is a whole video in session 1 on how to do that. And believe me, it makes your life easier when it comes to actually producing pseudocode algorithms for the responses to end of chapter exercises, to challenges, to everything else you do moving forward. So the very last thing I want to repeat, I think, is if you haven't already done so, do yourself a favor and get Sublime Text. You can always hand in a Sublime Text document because I use it to read your submissions. So even if it's not a text file, which the default is a text file, but for some of you, for whatever reason, it doesn't save as a text file, it's okay. I'll be able to read that on my end. So looking forward, the deliverables for this week are there is a chapter 5 challenge, and there are the chapters 4 and 5 rather, end of chapter exercises to submit. And as always, reach out if you have a question. I will try to help you answer it. That is a far superior way to get to the root of a problem than handing in an assignment that is only partially completed because you had a question. Don't do that. Reach out. I will get back to you with a message in short order, and we can help you solve that problem. So 4 and 5 for this week, which is already session 2. I feel as though it's moving pretty quickly. So have at it, CIS170.